I mean, being Jewish, Hanukkah is a big deal in my family, and we're really fortunate because we celebrate several different holidays, so it is busy from Thanksgiving on. Latkes are our tradition, as are things like little jelly donut holes, anything fried in general, but especially potatoes. So today I'm going to share with you the homemade applesauce recipe and some delicious latkes that are so easy. Don't you ever call it a potato pancake though. We call them latkes, and once you learn my recipe, that was my Nana's recipe, that was her Nana's recipe from Russia, you will make them this way too. It's easy, it's fun, and I even have a vodka choice to bring as a gift. I'll be back in just a few minutes to start frying. So making latkes is about organization. I lucked out because I had my husband peel the potatoes. Now you can peel them 24 hours in advance and put them in a very cold pot of water and just let it soak. And actually that takes some of the starch out of the potato, which is great, but you want to pat them dry once you take them out of the water. What I do is I love using mason jars and wooden glass together. I have my setup of homemade applesauce, which we're going to make in the next segment, super easy, sour cream, and then I have a smoked salmon spread I just picked up at Trader Joe's. Fantastically easy to just stick that there and less expensive than smoked salmon. And of course we have to have our gold coins or Hanukkah gelt. I got the little bucket for about $2 at Target and all the Hanukkah gelt. So what I did was I have my peeled potatoes. I've also used some sweet potatoes. They're going to go in your grater section. When I was a child, there were not food processors. So all the kids lined up, and let me tell you, you kind of bumped your knuckles a few times, but you knew what you were getting at the end. So I have 2 beaten eggs, and I always tell everybody don't buy the extra large eggs. If you do, only use them for omelets and keep them in a separate area of the fridge. I just buy large because it does change the consistency. So 2 large eggs is it. Then I'm going to take a little flour, or you can use matzo meal, but if you don't have matzo meal for any other reason, you don't need to worry about it. So as you can see, I did 2 forkfuls that I just kind of shake into it. I season it with salt and pepper. We're going to go back over it with some pink Himalayan sea salt. Very, very important to know this is that you have to squeeze the latkes dry, okay? Because you're going to get rid of that moisture. And always cook with vegetable oil on your latkes. So I have 2 pans going. And usually what I do is just put in a little bit to see where my temperature's at. That temperature in this pan looks just about right. As you fry them, I would say about every 3rd batch, you're going to empty out the oil, keep a coffee can, an empty coffee can or something of the likes that you can put the oil in. Now, I have a professional fryer at home. I don't recommend making latkes in a fryer because they'll puff up and they come out more like a fritter. So you want to use a pan that has a little edge, like I do. When I come back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the homemade applesauce. We have some onions in here, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to see some different types of latkes you can make. We have 8 nights to cook these babies, so it'll be a lot of fun. So we've got our latkes still frying, and I just need to show you because they are just crisp and perfectly delicious, and there's only one thing that's going to go better with this. For me, it's warm homemade applesauce and sour cream. So making homemade applesauce could be one of the easiest things I can ever teach you. Macintosh apples are best for applesauce, not necessarily for pie, because what happens is that with pies it's too mushy. Macintosh apples for applesauce are fantastic. So I have 3/4 cup of water in here. I picked up Macintosh and Cortland apples. Cortland have that same little bit of tartness, but they'll hold together a little bit more. So for chunky applesauce, I do a combination. Went to Yoder's Produce Market this morning, one of my favorite stops, as you know, and I picked up leeks, I picked up zucchini, yams. These are all things that you can combine together to make different latkes. Since I fry latkes probably about 4 nights out of the combined Hanukkah, it makes for some really delicious variations, but everyone gets homemade applesauce. So about 2 to 3 teaspoons of a Saigon or a really good quality cinnamon. You really want to get that great flavor in. if you haven't cleaned out your spice drawer, what I always say is before the holidays is the time that you go through everything. Look at expiration dates for baking powder and baking soda. Those are typically big ones, but you'll notice that even things like cinnamon or nutmeg will lose their aroma. This in itself, homemade applesauce, oh my gosh, I'm just so in it, it's incredible. So let's come back over to the latkes, shall we? Now the next batch, I'm gonna put a zucchini in and shred a zucchini, but only one. I have tried many times, including my recipes for coastal living for Hanukkah, that just did yellow squash, red onion, things like that, and you really need that firmness. If you can't eat gluten, you can use tapioca starch in your latkes to firm it up. So when I come back, I have my warm, soothing batch of applesauce. I think Ray's gonna like that, and some fried latkes, and we'll be ready to celebrate for the next 8 nights. Well, it's hot.
It is hot, but it's so, so good. I already had a little sneak peek.
Good.
And bite.
Well, let me tell you, also trending is vodka and latke parties. So our friends over at Grey Goose Vodka, look at this tin container, the old-fashioned container. Isn't it beautiful? Has that traditional blue color, the Jewish symbol. So you put this out with a loaf of warm crusty bread, some apple butter from Yoder's, and maybe a little Havarti cheese, and you have your platters and platters. You nonstop fry of the latkes with the applesauce, and you're really enjoying the applesauce.
Yeah, the applesauce is one of my favorites. And I have to say, you were telling us and sharing about a story last night about your friends coming over and everybody cooking and just having a ball.
Awesome. Non-Jews, Buddhists, atheists, Catholics, Christians, we were all together and it was wonderful. And to all my army of friends that helped me last night, thank you. This recipe is on mysuncoast.com. Click on dining and you'll get to see the recipe video and find out all about these great restaurants we have around town and events. So Wendy, I'll let you have a little more while I shoot it back to Ray. I like it. You go for it.
I'm just going to go for it.